Hi everyone, welcome to Becky's Crafts and Goodies. I hope you're okay. Now today we're going to do a little revamp on this tray. Now this came from the works. I think it was something like £4. Don't exactly quote me on that because I'm not sure. But the works sell loads of little bits and pieces like that. Or you could also find things from maybe charity shops, thrift stores that you could do exactly the same thing to. So what we're going to do to start with, it didn't need prepping or anything. We're just going to go straight over with some chalk paint, and I'm using some of the French Chic paint, like a cream colour here. I'm going to give that a coat all the way over, and then if it needs one, we'll do a second coat on top. Now the paint is dry, we're going to work out what we're going to put on the top for decoration. So I've got some rice paper sheets. You can get them in so many different patterns, and you can get them on eBay. Just Google rice paper and you will find absolutely loads. Decoupage, you can put napkins on, you can do all sorts. So I've cut out two pieces and I'm going to stick it on in two sections because I didn't want the little girl figurine that was on there. So I just wanted it to be two sets of flowers. So I've cut the bits out, measured it to size, and that's what I'm going to stick on. Also, you can buy these transfers as well. So you could put transfers on there, and I use these on my table in my living room and a TV cabinet. So you can use this sort of thing as well. Just maybe pop that in the corner. You wouldn't really need to do that much to it. So that would kind of fit in the theme. You can also find these sorts of transfers online really, really easily. So just put for furniture transfer or something. So they're really, really easy to do. As you can see, just peel that part off and then rub it on, and it kind of sticks to the surface. So with this one, I've decided I am going to use the rice paper, and to stick it down we're going to use the trusty Mod Podge. This is a really good staple, and you kind of need it for most crafts if you're doing crafts. The Fairy Chic Emporium is good there as well, but we could use either one of those. So what I'm going to do is just pop the glue straight onto the base here of the tray, and this is what the rice paper is going to stick to. So just go a thin layer all the way over, but make sure it's not too thin, because obviously rice paper is a little bit thicker than napkins, so you need enough on there, but not too much so it sort of bubbles and wrinkles. So just make sure you can kind of see it lightly on there. Do that all over the base. And I'll just go straight over the top with the rice paper, because obviously that's already been cut to size. So that's all worked out. And then, as again, rice paper's thicker, so you can go over it with your fingers. Otherwise, I'd be using maybe some cling film or something over the top. Now, I'm going to put this part over. There is a slight overlap in the middle, which you could see before it was dried. So, but when it dried, it wasn't really that noticeable. It just kind of looked part of the pattern. So it was okay. But maybe in hindsight, if I did it again, I wouldn't have too much of an overlap. But I did get away with it this time, so it was absolutely fine. So just had to jiggle this about a little bit. But as you can see, with rice paper, you can move it about, whereas if this was a napkin, they're not forgiving at all. So if you kind of are starting out, you could probably try rice paper because it is a bit thicker, and you can sort of wiggle it about and manoeuvre it about a little bit easier. Once that's in place, get some more of the glue, the same glue that you used on the bottom, just to go over the top, and this sort of gives you a protective layer really. It just helps it to stick down, and just a little bit of a coat on the top, which fares well when you're doing bits like this. And once that's done all over, you just need to pop that to the side and leave it to completely dry. So while that's happening, we are going to have a look at the moulds, because it will dry pretty quickly. And I've got these little trim mouldings here that I'm going to make up using some Das air drying clay. This is another great addition to any little crafty stash. You can get like a terracotta colour and a white colour. So I've got the white one here. I always keep it in a little bag that you can press together, and then in a tub as well. And it just helps to keep it from drying out. So you need to get yourself a piece of the clay. So just break a piece off and just work it in your hands just to manipulate it a little bit. And then we're going to pop it into the mould. Before you pop the clay into the mould, just put yourself a little sprinkling of corn flour in, and this helps the mould to be able to turn out and it doesn't get stuck. So I just tap a bit in and then sort of like waft it about, and so it's all sort of covered and you've got a little bit of a dusting in there. So because it's a trim that we're making and the mould's kind of a long shape, we're going to start by just rolling the clay into like a sausage shape, and then we'll sort of start and pack it in to the mould as well. Do you know, it's really fun and therapeutic making moulds. I really do just love doing it. It's a bit like playing with Play-Doh, but for grown-ups. So all I'm doing is putting the clay into the mould. You can see sort of pushing it in and working it with the other side, just sort of pressing it down and breaking that last piece off. And then once I've kind of pushed it in, pressed it down, I'm just going to get a little tool and just run over the top. So it just sort of slices off. I don't even know what tool this is. It looks like a Cricut tool, to be fair. I'm just going to cut that off there, and I'll be taking it out straight away and using it straight away. I don't want it to dry solid because then I won't be able to sort of manipulate it into place. So it's fine to paint them wet and to stick them wet. It's absolutely fine to do that. So I'm just sort of smoothing the back down, and then I will pop it out. And we've got the big reveal, so you just sort of bend it over and it will just all come out just like that. We're going to go straight on with the paint. Pop a little bit on the brush. We won't obviously need a lot, but you'll probably need to do like 1.5, 2 coats just to cover all of the clay. So I've got just a little piece of like parchment paper down here so it doesn't stick. Just go over it all, cover it all over, and it needs to dry, so the paint's dry, but the clay won't be dry, but the paint needs to obviously be touch dry when you sort of pick it up and need to move it about. And if you do, when you stick it in place, need to pop a little bit more paint on, then it's absolutely fine to do that. So I'm just going to finish painting this one, and I'll make a few more as well. I've got some PVA glue, and I'm going to put a thin line around the edge. This is where I'm going to stick the little moulding that I've made, and PVA glue will stick it down fine. You could use something like a wood glue as well if you wanted to. So you just get the moulding, and because it's not dry, you can bend it, manipulate it, and you can kind of get it into the spaces that you need it. And then the other section here, I'll just cut it into size and then slot it just into that little gap there. So if you didn't have any clay, or you didn't want to put clay around the edge, you could use all sorts of different like trims, beads, that sort of thing. You can just put some of those together and sort of line them up all the way around if you wanted to. So again, you don't have to use clay if you don't want to. But you can just see me just pressing them together there. And I do kind of paint over the top just to sort of like hide it a little bit as well. And then once you've done that, we'll use the other pieces and then go all the way around the edge. And that also just hides, if you've got any multitude of tins of bits of rice paper, or you haven't cut it straight or something, putting something over the edge as a little trim just hides all those bits and bobs. Now I'm going to use some dark wax just to give the look a little bit of an older kind of vintage feel. So I've just got an old tea towel. You can use an old bit of clothing or anything like that. Dip it in the dark wax and then just go round just lightly, and you're just giving it kind of an older feel really, and just giving it a little bit more depth. So I just go all the way round, just sort of here and there, do bits and bobs, not over the whole of it, just on sort of certain sections. And as you can see, just sort of turn it round, and then going on the little bit of the clay around there. It's kind of dry now, so you know, I won't sort of squash it about too much. So just do all the bits around the sides and the insides, and just sort of follow it round. And once that's done, it'll look sort of a bit more aged. I've also got a paintbrush, and I've popped a little bit of the dark wax on that, and it just helps to get into these little creases, because obviously it's hard to get in with your finger on a piece of cloth. So I'm just dipping it in and just using that to get a little bit of detail on the trim that goes around as well, just so it kind of all blends in and just looks even. Now I've got another piece of cloth, and this is just a fresh piece, and I'm going to go over it, and if there's any parts that are a bit darker than I want, I'm sort of just rubbing it and just blending it in a little bit, just sort of getting some lighter bits in the middle, darker bits, so you sort of do it here and there, and so I'm just sort of rubbing the wax there just to get it all blended in nicely, and there'll be no like extra bits that are going to come off. I absolutely love doing this next bit, putting a bit of like antique goldy finish on. I love putting this on projects. It really makes what you've done pop, and it's like an extra layer, gives it an extra dimension. So I always use my finger to put it on. I feel like you've got more control over it. So I just dip my finger into the gold wax. The gold rub and buff, I think it's called, my mind just went blank then, is really good to use as well. And all I do, pop a little bit in and rub it over little sections. Don't go over the whole lot, just do it in little bits here and there. And I really do think it gives it something else. I love doing this. And don't forget to put some as well on every little bit of detail. So not every section, but can you see I'm just sort of going here and there. Don't forget the trim that we've made to pop a little bit on there, just so it brings it all together. I'm just not putting any on the bottom actual rice paper part, but around the edges, then I'm making sure I'm getting some bits on that here and there. Now this would be fine to leave absolutely here. I think this is enough if that's all you wanted to do. But I am going to put a little bit of trim on the side. So I just had a look through my stash. I had a few bits and pieces here that I've tea dyed, and you can get all sorts of stuff. You can get ribbon that sticks, you can get, you can just pop it on with some glue. So I had a little good look through and decided that this would look quite nice around the edge. So I'll just sort of need to measure it, and then we'll cut it to size. I'm just using the Beacon 3-in-1. This is one of my favourite glues. It's really good, really sticky. The only thing is it's a little bit tricky to get out the bottle when you've got just a small amount left. But it is really good glue, and it works great for like loads of different crafting things. It sticks fabric and paper and all sorts of things. So I'm just popping a little bit of this on, and then sticking it around the side. And as I've said before, you can do as much or as little as you want. You can kind of take this idea and completely make it your own style. So I'm quite florally, as you know. I like the shabby chic vintage kind of look, but you can paint this black if you wanted to. Black and gold would look good. You could do so many different colours, and you can just add bits and bobs just for your colour theme, really. So, as I say, just stick this on all the way around, and then that's that part done. I'm going to seal the top now, and you could use just the glue that you've used underneath. If you want to, you could just use like Mod Podge or something like that. But I really like this Polyvine glue. It's fab. It's not the cheapest, but it is good stuff. As you can see, mine's nearly run out there. But I do manage to get some out. I will have to buy some more. I'll link as many products as I can below. So if you want to have a look and hop onto the Amazon links there, you can see. But it is a good product. It does make it sort of nice and more robust, really, for using. And that's it. So I'll just do probably a couple of layers of this. Do this one, let that dry, and then pop another layer over the top. But it is one of the staples in my craft room, really. I really do like this kind of glue. So I'm just smoothing those big bits off there and let that dry, and we are almost there. And as if by magic, it's all done and all dry. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I really enjoyed making this tray, and hopefully I've inspired you to have a go as well. I love it when you let me know what projects you've had a go at doing, and yeah, I love it. And I love reading your comments too. I read them when I can. But that's it for me. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Do check out my other playlist, because we've got lots of items, especially if you love decoupage. That's one of my favourites too. But you take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.